We did in Tuskegee. And I want to say thank you to the city police, sheriff. I saw more state troopers than I've ever seen in my life. But they were here. And they were not beating on the marches. They were escorting the marches for justice. Thank you very much, City of Tuskegee.
And thank you for all that you do. Okay, Sarah?
Good afternoon, First Gate on.
Good afternoon.
To the mayor and city council, city manager, and Mrs. Whitehead, I want to first thank you all for coming out in our district to see about us. Especially, let me down. You have to have other people, other districts come to see about your people. That's bad. I had to get the city manager, Mrs. Whitehead, to come into District 1 to see about our neighborhood, your area, where you used to go.
Mr. Adams, at the last meeting, you were not here, but I brought up all the issues that were going on over on your street specifically. Talked to the city manager on a daily basis. He told me that those issues out there, they would have people out there, and I mean, I do care about the district, Mr. Adams. I mentioned your name specifically. If you ever have a concern, though, I certainly want to take care of it and help out in any way possible. I mean, I don't know what, are you talking about the abandoned house issue still?
Well, I'm not talking about the abandoned house. Marlon, I'm talking about is, since you've been in office, I'm yet to hear of you having a district meeting.
Sir, I can have a district meeting if that's what the people of my district would like to see. I certainly can do that. This summer certainly presented opportunity, so I apologize. We discussed many of the issues at the district here at these meetings as well, and I'm available at any time. I think whenever somebody calls me about something, I always personally try to take care of it the best that I can in contacting the city management or the appropriate administrative people to take care of it. But I certainly will. I hear your concern, and certainly you can expect to see some district meetings. So I'll take that. But I just didn't want to. I wanted to let you know and reiterate that I definitely care about all the concerns in the city, specifically those ones in District 1. And if I let you down, I apologize to you, sir.
Again, Ms. Whitehead, city manager, thank you. For the city of Tuskegee, we need to start making issue with these log trucks that's coming in.
That's what.
I done Southern Spring Drive this morning when I was coming back. We have log trucks out there get on the road, coming through the city, wood stuff coming off the truck and everything. And that's a damage. It's in the county area, but anytime it's evening or morning, you can go out there in that area and see them log trucks just coming in here. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Mr. Manager?
Mayor, if I could make one comment. Mr. Adams, I'd just like to just add a little something here. Last council meeting and the following week, Councilman Lee contacted me twice, reminding me that I needed to go by and take a look at their property.
Well,
I just wanted to add that.
I be gone a whole lot of things to take place here. But, just need to just think about it.
Yes, sir. I hear you, yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Major?
Yes. Before we go, I just want to make note of what Mr. Adams said about the trucks. Mr. Tarver was has a business on Highway 80, right at Howard Road, and Highway 80, mentioned last year to me about the volume of trucks that we have coming through Tuskegee. And I started to notice that. I'd already noticed it. And once when I was up in the complex, I noticed we have a steady stream of trucks coming through here. So we might need to investigate why so many trucks come through Tuskegee as opposed to other routes. There's something going on. We get an unusual number of large dump trucks coming through our community at a very rapid rate. And you see 3, 4, 5 at a time, and they don't go down Interstate 85 other ways. They come straight through 80 for some reason, going and coming.
Can they be text? Can they be text?
We need to check into it. For some reason, they're coming through here, and Mr. Tarver thinks that they're avoiding other communities for some reason. So we might want to check it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Adams.
Good evening,
Yes.
Mayor Ford, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, Clerk's Office, City Manager. My name is Muja Shakir. I am a citizen here in Tuskegee, Macon County. I am also a professor at the university and the founder of the Black Belt Deliberative Dialogue Group, which has been functioning here in the county since about 2011. And we've hosted a number of deliberative dialogues since that time that we're all very, very proud of. And as some of you may know, that we have a series of dialogues. We had one that focused on the issue of the Confederate monument that's in our town square. So I rise at this moment to basically kind of give you all just a little bit of a report and to make a recommendation. And our report is that we met last Friday. We met in the Commissioner's Chamber. We had a very excellent dialogue, I think. It was rigorous. There were people on both sides of the issue. But in the end, I think that people had an opportunity to really articulate their thoughts, their feelings, their concerns from a historical perspective, from a subjective perspective. And this is what we want from a deliberative dialogue. We want there to be rigor. We want there to be an opportunity for people to learn something that they have not previously understood, and that's what took place. So our next dialogue is on the 21st of August. It's currently scheduled to be, again, at the Chamber, but we're hoping to get it in the Gamillion Building because we feel like we need a larger venue. And so we are wanting to invite everybody out. The purpose of these dialogues are to move our community towards action. But before you can move to action, people need to understand what the issues are, and that's the purpose of the dialogue. It is to engage our citizens, which is the real hallmark of a democracy, that citizens need to be engaged, citizens need to be involved in what the topics are, what the issues are that impact their lives. And so this is an important method, not just for Tuskegee, but for all over the United States. The citizens are not as engaged as they need to be. So we're asking, as you all continue to deliberate on whatever method you think needs to be used, to give the community an opportunity to weigh in on the issue. I think it can be very empowering for the community to know that through exercising that their voices may be heard. I think that it's something, particularly with this topic, is very timely. My daughter just got back from New Orleans and she brought a newspaper back, and I think they have like 5 or 6 Confederate monuments, and they're doing the same thing, wanting to have those removed. So I don't stand here to say on which, whether it should be removed or not, but just let's have the rigorous dialogue and allow the citizens to weigh in on the issue. So I hope you'll consider that recommendation. I hope everybody will come out and participate. It is a topic that's very emotionally charged. We're aware of that. We're doing everything that we can to create structure around the dialogue so that it will be civil. And we did have we had a few little emotional outbreaks, but for the most part, we actually had one citizen who actually shifted, who came in feeling very strongly in support of keeping the monument. But at the end, he said he no longer knew for sure. And I was really happy to hear that.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
To Mayor Ford, to all the city council members, to the city council manager, to Mr. Bowens, and to all Tuskegee residents here. My name is William Ward, and I'm speaking on behalf of the rezoning, which is located on the lower part of the agenda for this evening. But my wife and I, Angela Moore, we have purchased a manufactured mobile home, and we have been trying to get it rezoned on Foy Street, which has been about a month. Foy.
Okay.
And we've been trying to get it rezoned, and it's been a holdup, and we've been trying to get it correct. And so that's the reason we're here today.
Well, can you be kind enough to go to the planning commission first?
Yes, sir.
Because that's the body that has that official responsibility of dealing with rezoning.
Yes, sir. We have. We haven't gotten any kind of results.
Okay.
We also have passed out letters.
Letters,
Yes, sir.
we'll make a letter a part of the record.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Forestry, whose district is it? That's Council Lady Moon, or down by 3 and 4, right?
That's
I've
correct.
spoken to Mrs. Moore on this issue, and I asked her to please get in touch with Mr. Chappelle.
Right. Right. Okay.
And we have, and it's just been stagnated. It's just been
So
bothering.
essentially, what do you want to do?
Well, we're just waiting to get it rezoned. They told us that city council have to meet and in order to get, I guess, a vote on the rezoning and wait to pay a fee to see if it has to be rezoned or not. And this has been a month ago.
You want to get it rezoned so you
Well,
can...
they are telling us it's a possibility that it might have to be rezoned
No, let's talk about it now. You want to get it rezoned for what purpose?
for the manufactured mobile home
For
purchase.
mobile home?
Yes.
Now, you're not,
Double wide?
well, and so you say the planning commission, what did the planning commission say to you?
That they have to meet in order to get the property rezoned, to see if it has to be rezoned or not.
Right.
Yes.
And then it comes to us.
Yes, I hadn't heard anything.
Okay.
And this has been a week ago. Prior to
When is
that,
the
it's
next
been 2
planning?
weeks ago. Prior to that, it's been 3 weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. The chairman is here. Okay, so Mr. Chairman, can you address it?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council.
Mr. Chairman.
I have spoken with Mrs. Moore. They just turned in an application to be rezoned about 2 weeks ago. Mrs. Jolie is getting the exact date it was turned in. We received the application, we finally received the fee, and we told them that the planning commission meets the third Tuesday of each month at 5:30, which will meet next Tuesday. We'll entertain the first reading of the application to discuss it.
Okay. All right. So, please give the planning commission an opportunity to address it at their meeting. Thank you so very much. And this is in your district? Right, okay, right. Listen. Don, how are you this evening?
Good
sir?
evening,
Mr.
good
President?
evening. Mr. Mayor, the city council,
Yes, sir.
all the city officials, we greet you in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ today. As president of the Macon County Ministers Council, I rise in support of an agenda item that we had in our meeting today concerning the Confederate statue that sits on our city square. We also had a very vigorous discussion and have been involved in the community with the discussion that is going on concerning the statue. And we come forth today with a recommendation from the Macon County City Council to ask you to please give us,
From the...
Ministers Council, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. The City Council.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Ministers Council.
Dr.
Yeah.
Head, did you give your full name for she had?
Oh, I'm sorry, Otis Head.
Right.
Okay. And we come with the recommendation to ask you to please give the citizens of Macon County, our congregation members, the churches, opportunity to discuss this whole item of removing the Confederate statue, not saying that we are against it, not saying that we are for it, but we believe that the citizen concerns should be lifted and should be considered before any decision is made on whether or not it's removed or changed or moved to another location or whatever. And we certainly support that the citizens of Macon County have an opportunity to express their concerns and then let it be known what we should do from there.
So, Dr. Head, what is the position of the ministerial council?
The council position is to discuss this with their congregation and to come back with a acknowledgement of whether we are in favor of removing or leaving or another option as far as the statue is concerned. We discussed moving the statue to another location. We discussed taking the statue down completely. But at this point, the council was not ready to make a recommendation other than to ask you to delay the decision as to what we do until we have that full discussion with our congregation.
Well, I'm sure the council, I know I have no objections if you want to take it to the churches first, but I know I've made it very, very clear what my position is on this matter. And today I just saw a letter that came from the Daughters of the Confederacy indicating that they own the deed to the square. And I have responded to that letter, indicating to them that we certainly don't want any problems. But on the other hand, this is something that does need to be addressed. We can talk about it for as long as you all want to, but I certainly know my decision is not going to change on this, but and I think it should be certainly removed to another place where it can be respected by and in a place, and the place we simply suggest that it be moved is to the Tuskegee Cemetery, where Confederate soldiers are buried and respected and revered. As a matter of fact, each year, Reverend Nod, flags are put on the Confederate soldiers' graves. We put American flags because someone, I guess the daughters come in and put the Confederate flags there. I remember last time we were there, one of the Confederate flags had fallen down. And I stooped down and picked it up because, you know, while we all have our feelings about history, history is history. And some people revere certain parts of history and some do not. So your suggestion is that we've got another council meeting next week. So we can wait, but I was ready to make a recommendation tonight that we move ahead on this matter. The dialogue is good, and we're all grown here, and we can discuss, and we can even disagree and not be disagreeable. We can be respectful.
And I think that was the point for the council today, and I just want to close with that, is that we didn't want to take an affirmative or negative opinion on this. We had heard the recommendation, and we said, yes, let's discuss it, let's make a final decision, in some kind of way just comprise the components of our community and make sure all the citizens understand why, what, and everything that is going on. There's some data that we have received concerning some of the things that are going on with this that we just want to make sure everybody's in agreement with.
Data, you're talking to the public now. You say you received some data. Well, so why don't we do this? The time has called. Why don't we end debate on this? And out of respect for the ministerial council, I'll not make a recommendation tonight. We'll wait for you to have more dialogue. And believe me, I am happy to see that the community is willing to discuss this issue. It's a sensitive issue, and because you know some of us have been dealing with this since 1972. So good, talk, help yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. It is now 6:30. You just please just hold 1 second. By law, we have to stop and have this hearing because we publicize it. Council members, you have the agenda for our hearings. One at 6:30, we have the public hearing. Where's the sheet that has the new hours on? All three of them.
Mr. Mayor.
6:40. Where's it? 10? Here. I don't know, I'm waiting in this place. I got so many minutes. is the public hearing regarding the closing of Alexander Street in order that the Ball Nursing Home can be expanded to take care of our senior citizens who need nursing home care. The chair will entertain a motion that we go into the public hearing on this matter.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by the Pro Tem, second by Council Lady Whitehead. Questions, comments? Those in favor of the motion give the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. So be it. Motion. So we're in the public hearing. Now, what is proposed here is, and we've talked about this a number of times, Alexander Street, there's a short block between the Notasulga Highway and the top of Auburn Street that runs right by the nursing home. And the purpose of closing the street is not to interfere with the traffic, because no one lives on that little short portion of the street. The house on the corner is facing Notasulga Highway, and the one on the other end is facing Auburn Street. So the traffic can simply just go around the block without any problem and still flow and go. In other words, it does not block anyone from their access to their home or to their community. The purpose of this is, as you know, we had the nursing home closed on Gautier Street. At one point we had 122 nursing home residents in that nursing home. Many of them have been displaced, no longer live here. Mr. Clarence Ball took over the property. He was kind enough to make that old nursing home the property of the city of Tuskegee. We now own it, and we are going to use it for some other purposes. But what he plans to do is to improve and expand the existing Magnolia nursing home. He has license for 122 beds. That, for us, ladies and gentlemen, means a very fine facility that will provide nursing homes for those, not only senior citizens, but special person people. I was in the nursing home a few days ago, and it provides a very valuable service. It also, we lost 100 jobs. This would mean new jobs for our community. And of course, it is an enterprise that uses electricity and pays occupational taxes. And so for us, not only it is a humane thing to do from a social standpoint, but it is an economic boost for our community. Now, those who are for may speak for, or those who are against may speak no. We now open it up for any discussion that anyone may have. As I said, we have published it in the newspaper. You've heard us talk about it. Is there anyone for, or is there anyone against? And as I said, it's only that little section of the street, not the entire street, and does not interfere with the flow of people getting to and fro from their homes. But it would benefit and give them the space to expand the nursing home and put in the parking. And it's not used much anyway. It's just that little short street. Anyone for or anyone against? Anyone for or anyone against? Roland, yes. Mr. Bond.
I would like to say Clarence Ball is one of the finest
Come
nursing
on, I want this on record, Roland. Come to the mic, please, sir.
I'm Roland Bond, and through business and years of knowing Mr. Ball, he's one of the finest nursing home operators in the state. In fact, I think the largest. And his facilities are always well operated, and he's well thought of in the healthcare field. So just a fine individual and a good citizen to us.
Thank you so much. Speaking for. Any other speaking for or against? For or against? For or against? 3 times.
Mayor,
Yes?
move that the public hearing on the declaration on and Grand Street be closed.
Second.
Moved by the Pro Tem, second by Council Lady Moon. Questions, comments? Being none, those in favor of the motion, please give the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposers, please give the sign of nay. Thank you all so very much. And I think we ought to give Mr. Clarence Ball a hand because he really has invested in our community. This is going to be quite a boost to our business. He was thinking about moving this nursing home to shorter some other areas of the county, but he made the decision to keep it in Tuskegee, Alabama, and we're very proud of that, and we thank him very much. Do we have to wait until?
It's 6:40, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, it is 6:40. Oh, that clock is just not quite time. All right, Chair will entertain a motion that we go to the second hearing.
We'll move, Mr. Mayor, that we go to the second hearing regarding the Planning Commission recommendation on the rezoning of property 38.
It has been moved by the Pro Tem. Chair will entertain a second.
Second.
Second by Council Lady Whitehead, since I guess this is your neighborhood. Moved and properly second that we go into our public hearing regarding the Planning Commission's recommendation on the rezoning of property at exit 38, Tuskegee, Alabama. All in favor of the motion, please give the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. So be it. The hearing is open. Mr. Chairman, the Planning Commission, come again and make your recommendation to our City Council on this issue. And Roland, would you come with it just in case there are any questions about what is being proposed at exit 38?
Good evening again.
Yes.
Mayor, members of the council, clerks. The Planning Commission does recommend that we rezone a portion of exit 38 from AO Agriculture to B3 Business District. And this will allow for the business development for businesses that have already expressed interest for this exit. So we certainly have had public hearings already, and we had support for doing it. We have a letter attached.
And Mr. Bond, you may want to share with the public what is being proposed for the area. You and Mr. Joe Turner have worked very hard on that.
We, over the last 5 years, it seems that,
Long time.
it seems like it yesterday, but we're in the final stages. We met with ADECA and received certain guarantees from them associated with building the new 82-room Holiday Inn Express. They will help with some of the infrastructure issues. And then Liberty Bank was there, and I think got all the assurances they needed. Jeff Potter, who is a local business person, is doing a 24-hour service center, and is also doing Huddle House and a deli.
And a what?
And a what?
And a deli.
Deli.
Subway or some type of
Subway.
deli.
And so those are in place. We will have probably 7 other sites that other businesses will be already ready for. So this is kind of the first step.
And to get the Greyhound bus back to Tuskegee, stopping and give that a hand, the Greyhound bus. The students need it, and a lot of seniors drive the bus too. I mean, it's drive the bus and leave it driving to us. Okay, those who may want to speak for or against. For or against. For.
Secondly, speaking for,
Yeah.
is there any time, do we have any anticipated timeline?
Yes.
Mr.
We're hopeful this fall we begin.
We want to go vertical this fall.
This fall.
Thank you.
Man, very good. We're vertical as well.
Speaking for, any against, for, against, for, against, for,
Mayor.
against. Yes, sir.
Move that the hearing zoning of exit 38 be closed.
Second.
Moved by Pro Tem, second by Council Lady Moon. Questions, comments? Those in favor of the motion, please give the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. So be it. The motion is carried. Now, I want to, our next hearing is at 7.
6:50.
So
So
tell us what we can do.
So Mr. Mayor, at that time, you may want to take your 3-minute comments,
Yeah,
if
let's
you have
do
any
that.
more comments.
All right, you have 3 minutes, we're gonna take yours, sir. Please come.
Mayor.
Take it, yes, sir, in between the time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Richard Perry. You know me.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Been a long time.
Yeah.
Me and you both got gray hair.
Yes, indeed. We're live. Sign of service.
I noticed there's several ministers here, including yourself. I know you were once a minister at one time.
Yes, retired.
Oh, you retired.
Yes, sir. But still serving the Lord whenever called.
Praise God. I'm here to speak in defense of the Confederate statute. I know I'm a minority. I didn't know Rolly was over last evening. Rolly. That statute has been there for almost 60 years without a Confederate flag flying on it. This was done years ago in respect for black citizens of Tuskegee.
Repeat that. I didn't hear you.
This was the Confederate flag was not flown in that square for almost 60 years. And of course, this was done in respect for the black citizens of Tuskegee, because we realize what the flag means to you. However, the statute don't speak. It hadn't spoken in over 100 years. So, and as I read the editorial of the Mail
Yes.
in the paper,
Yes.
I don't understand why it's supposed to be a white park, just because it's owned by the little old ladies of the Confederacy.
Since you raised the point, the fact that the county commission at that period, I think it was 1908 or something like that, deeded it to the Daughters of the Confederacy to be used as a park for white people. That's the record, in the record.
Say that.
In the record.
I know they traded.
In the record.
They traded the county courthouse was traded for the square, because the courthouse burnt down in the square.
Sure.
So they built a new one, and they traded the property.
To be used for a park for white people. That's the deal.
Okay?
And today, I saw a letter from the president of the United Daughters of the Confederacy, the Alabama chapter, informing us that they do indeed have the deed.
That's correct.
There's been some confusion about where the deed is, but she reminded us that they have the deed. And I responded in her letter. She stated that she doesn't want any problem erasing history. She said it's something that we should hesitate. I indicated to her my position is not to erase the history, but simply to move to a place where it would be revered and respected. Now, you mentioned the fact that the Confederate flag is not flying in the square, but the Confederate soldier represents the Confederacy. We all know that. The Confederate soldier represents, we all know what it represents, and that is, as you know and I know, everyone knows, African Americans who would really like, when you talk about not forgetting history, would certainly would like to forget slavery. But we can't forget it, because we know that the Civil War was fought to preserve slavery. And so it's offensive to African Americans.
There is a difference in opinion.
Okay, well, we're entitled to our opinion, but at any rate, go ahead, make your statement.
To me, it means my history too.
Well,
It's
which
my
is-
heritage too.
And that's why I said to her, we don't want, in her letter she said, we don't want you to erase our history or to take away. We don't want to do that. We were simply proposing that that the history be respected by simply moving it to a place in the cemetery, the Tuskegee Cemetery, where there are Confederate soldiers who are both buried and revered and respected for their service of the war.
If you agree that at this point, the square does not belong to the city. It's privately owned. It's always been used for any festival, anything. You use it for campaign purposes. There'll be a celebration at the end of this month, be held in the square. Sure. The Carver Foundation or the Carver Festival is always held in the square. Have we ever been denied, any citizens ever been denied the use of the square in the last 60 years?
Mr. Perry, the point, that's not the point. The point is, the park legally and technically was deeded to be used for white people. That's what it was deeded for. Now, the issue of how it's being used now, that's not the real issue. The Confederate statue was placed in this square. The lady reminded me today that there are 52 chapters of the Daughters of the Confederacy in the state of Alabama. And their purpose is to preserve the history. We know the Confederacy. Now, African Americans are part of this community. African Americans, black and white folk, pay taxes in this town. So to try to listen to me, please. What I'm simply saying to you is we are trying to let everyone. We're trying to resolve this in a respectful manner. We're not proposing that the statue be torn down or bashed or defaced. Instead, we're simply suggesting that it be respectfully lifted up, placed on a moving conviction, and moved to another location. That's all that's being proposed. And then the square can be used for public purpose, for public park, a public highway, public parking, etc. Those are the kinds of considerations that can be set. Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem.
Ma'am, thank you. Can you finish your statement? Because we have to go back to
time.
the hearing. The mayor has to go back.
Well, I was going to say this. As a minister, you ought to know the Ten Commandments.
I do.
Know the Ten Commandments.
Yes.
If you take the property, and you are proposing to do it, that's stealing, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. We're not, Mr. Perry, we have to go back to the hearing. But we're not proposing to take it. We're proposing to condemn it for public use and pay the fair market value.
That's taken.
And that's the benefit of being a municipality.
Well,
that's your opinion. Thank you, and we can disagree and not be disagreeable. Chair will entertain a motion that we go into the next hearing.
So move, Mr. Mayor, we go into the next hearing. Scheduled at 6:50 on the tobacco tax ordinance number 2011-3. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. Chair will entertain a second. Second by Council Lady Whitehead. Questions, comments? Those in favor of the motion, please give the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. So be it. We're into our next, it's unanimous, Madam Clerk. We're into our next hearing. Now, what we propose here, and glad to see Chairman of our Utilities Board, Mr. Harold Washington. Let's give him a hand. We want to thank the Utilities Board for all of the cooperation between the city and the Utilities Board. We work hand in hand. But he called to our attention the problem with these cigars, and there's some people who smoke. I don't smoke, but there are a lot of people who do, and they buy these cigars. And what is happening now, because of this 28 cents on each cigar, they're buying them out in other areas. So what are you proposing, Mr. City Manager?
Well, Mr. Mayor and Council, ordinance 2011-3, as you said, proposes a 28-cent license tax to be collected on all tobacco products of Tuskegee. This 28 cents is broken down as follows. The city of Tuskegee imposes 18 cents, the county and the state an additional 10, and that's how we get to the 28. One thing I want to point out is that on cigarettes, the 28 cents is charged per package. Okay? No matter how many cigarettes are in the package, it's 28 cents. Now this, and all other tobacco products, with the exception of cigars, are also taxed on a package or container basis. Now this, large cigars and small cigars are the only ones that are not taxed on a package basis. Large cigars are taxed at 28 cents each. That's here. Small cigars are taxed at 28 cents each. Now the problem with that is that small cigars tend to be in multi-packs. Okay? You've got a multi-pack of 5 small cigars. Guess what? That's 5 times 28 cents. That saddles Mr. Washington and other merchants with $1.40 right on top of their product. Now you don't have that problem in the surrounding areas. They're taxed at a much lower rate. What we're proposing here, or suggesting, and for conversation, is that we change the ordinance to read that they continue the large cigars at 28 cents. That's fine. But small cigars, we're proposing to change the language to make that 28 cents per package of multi-pack small cigars.
Okay?
And that's what we're asking for, some input.
Okay, so that's our proposal. Anyone who wishes to speak for or against, we're now in the public hearing. Mr. Washington, you want to speak again? Anyone else on this issue?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, Your Honor.
City Manager, City Council. My name is Harold Washington. The cigar tax, well, I came up a couple of meetings ago and we talked about this. On a small pack of small cigars, which carry 20 small cigars, the city tax alone on that particular pack is $3.60. Normally that same pack of cigarettes in other areas sell for right around $2, including everything. And that does not include the state and the county tax. On your multi-packs, as Mr. Hopper said, if you got a 5-pack, that tax is up. But even on the single cigar, and he's proposing to keep it the same. But that still keeps our prices out of line with what's going on around us. And some people say, well, why are you worried about that? Well, my cigar sales have dropped 80%. Because they're buying them outside the city, they're buying them in the other areas, and also when they buy that cigar, they stop to buy that cigar, they'll buy soda, they'll buy chips, they'll buy other things. So you're losing the sales tax, you're losing the cigar tax, and you're also losing the sales tax on the other items that they are buying that they possibly would be buying here, because, like you said, people that smoke cigar, they're going to get that cigar. They're going to get it wherever they can get it the cheapest. And they're going to also buy other things. So it's not only this tobacco tax we're losing sales tax at that same sale.
So you're for it?
Yes, I'm for it.
For the change that we're
I'm
proposing?
for the change, but I think you need to look a little further into that single cigar because, it really is not it will change the price on the multi-pack, but you still,
This is what we're here for. We want to get that kind of input. So we'll come back with a recommendation after talking with you and talking with other merchants and looking at what's competitive for the area. We'll come back and address that also.
thank you.
Okay.
What
what is the tax on a single cigar in other areas? It's 28 cents in our area?
Yes, it's 28 cents.
What would it be in other areas?
Well, they're different. I think Albans is 4 cents.
What's Montgomery?
I'm not sure.
In Albany, I think it's 4. Now it's 28.
Well, that's the state and the city. Yeah.
Well, whatever you all want to do on these cigars is fine with me. What do you want to do? So you're saying this is not quite enough, Ms. Washington? Your suggestion is how do you get his suggestion?
Yes, suggestion
All right.
is you also include the large cigars. Take a look at what's required there to make it competitive also.
Okay, so I have no objection to adding that to it when we get ready to vote. Any others on the cigar? Any other cigar smokers in here selling cigars? Anyone interested in cigars? Going once, going twice, going 3 times?
Mayor,
Ready for you?
move that we close the public hearing on tobacco tax ordinance 2011-3.
It's been moved and properly second. Been moved. Chair will entertain a second. Moved by Councilman Lee. Questions, comments? So, Mr. Attorney, will all in favor of the motion give a sign of aye that the motion, that the hearing be closed?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Opposes nay, so it is carried. Now, Mr. Attorney, what do you have? Do we have a proposed ordinance here that addresses?
No, sir. No, there's no proposed ordinance at this time. This was just a hearing to get feedback on the existing ordinance.
Okay.
And that, the administration will
Take into consideration.
Correct.
Okay, so, Mr. Washington, we'll take that into consideration. Can we want to put it on the next council agenda? Let's do it before it goes up in smoke. Let's do it while it's on our mind. So we put that on the agenda. All right, now, back to our citizens' comments. Any other comments? Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Ford, I have a
Come on,
comment.
come on. Identify yourself.
I'm Michael Shepherd. I'm born and raised here. Okay, the only thing I want to say, I'm just so glad to hear that we're trying to get along. I'm saying black and white because if not, I don't see how we're going to survive. Because, to be honest, I want to be positive, but sometimes, I'm discouraged when I look around, but I hear it seems like things gonna get better. Because we really can't afford to lose any more citizens. I'm gonna be honest. Because, homecoming people come here, then they're looking at you funny. You can't save so much, but I'm trying to be positive. I hope we learn, we put all our differences aside. I'm talking about black and white, because this place has potential and move forward. And put all that personal stuff aside for a minute. And I believe that we can progress.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so much. Any other comments? Any other comments? Now, all you all who had some comments about the statute, we heard one side. Now, so you want to have some more dialogue? All right. Well, you all dialogue but the next council meeting is going to be on the agenda again, because I tell you, we could talk about this forever. Any other? Okay. So no one's coming forward to make any other comments. We'll now go to
Mayor's communications.
which one?
Mayor's communications.
Oh yeah, we're ready for a city council work session. We had that. All right. Condemnation of Commodore Square. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Just want to ask you to highlight from the work session, which we feel is very important, that the department heads and citizens realize we're operating on a very thin budget, particularly between now and the end of the year. on October 1st, and we're getting ready to plan for the new budget. So if you have any suggestions or ideas, please let us, the council people know, or the mayor, or the interim city manager, the finance manager, Mr. Harvey Smith. But we will be trying to operate a very narrow budget in the coming year to strengthen this city's financial position. And so we'll be supporting the city manager as interim city manager as he moves forward to develop a very narrow budget to do what we essentially need to do, get the city in good financial order, but also to strengthen our position and provide the best services we can. So we may not be able to do things on the front end of the year. We hope by mid-year to really pick up and do some additional things. So please bear with us and realize we're going to be tightening up on some things. So it may not be everything we want to do right now. We're going to do the best we can do until we get to a better position. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to echo that from the work section.
Okay. Any other comments? The next item on the agenda, and I'd like for citizens, particularly Bougia, are you still here, Dr. Secure? With some information about condemnation process from the Alabama League of Municipalities, and I'd like for anyone who is interested in this subject to please read it, because it states very, very clear the statutory authority for condemnation action is found in section 18A through in the Code of Alabama. And this section allows municipalities to apply to the probate judge in the county in which the lands are situated for an order of condemnation. In other words, condemnation is used by the state, by the federal government, and the state government in an effort to make sure that property that is needed for public purpose can be acquired for public purpose. That can be for an easement, that can be for a highway, that can be for a public park, for public purpose. And the way to resolve that in this democracy is through condemnation. That puts it in the court. The court can legally resolve the matter, and therefore positive action can be taken. The public interest should always supersede the interest of an individual or some private group. So that's what we are considering here, and at our next council meeting, we will hopefully hear some feedback from the ministers and others in the dialogue group regarding this issue. Okay, enough said on that item. Let me go to Parks and Recreation. We have some outstanding athletes here. Our Recreation Director, Mr. Drew, City Manager, why don't we turn it over to you?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, recently Mr. Drew brought to my attention that we have some very special athletes and coaching talent here in the Tuskegee area. In fact, they were participants in the recent AHSAA, that's Alabama High School Athletic Association football game. Mr. Drew's going to tell you a little bit about that, and he's also going to introduce the special participants.
Good evening, Council, Mr. Attorney, City Manager, and citizens of Tuskegee. I'd like to bring these young men here before you. For so long, children in our community have been overlooked, especially since the opening of Booker T. Washington High School some 20-odd years ago. 5 years, he's entering his 5th season, and Coach Hurd had an opportunity to come back home and to coach some of these kids here in the Tuskegee area. And last year he was able to get one youngster to play in the All-Star game as a South All-Star, first one ever from Booker T. Washington High School. Now this year, Coach Hurd was not only was able to get another player to participate in the All-Star game, but he was asked also to go down and to be an assistant coach in the All-Star game. And I thought it was very appropriate that we bring him here and honor him. There are actually 3 people from the Tuskegee community that were selected. these two gentlemen from Booker T. Washington High School, and also Mr. Jason Williams, who lives in Tuskegee, but he attends Notasoga High School. Jason is playing football for Faulkner this fall, and they had a report on this past Saturday, so he will not be here to accept his honor, and he asked that I accepted that for him. But I'd like to introduce y'all to Coach Maurice Hurd, head coach Booker T. Washington High School. Make sure you guys about to support Coach Hurd tonight. Here at 7 o'clock for the jamboree against Wilcox. And also, I've had the pleasure of having some interesting conversations with Coach Hurd, with coaching peers, and we dialogue amongst each other. This young man here is Mr. Jamarius Miles. I've had the pleasure of coaching him I didn't never coach him in football, but I did coach him in basketball and baseball. And outstanding young man here. You still going to Miles? He'll be attending Miles College this fall. So not only are these kids producing on the field, but also they're producing in the classroom because they have the academics to go on and pursue their education. So I'm gonna give them a couple of seconds and then Mr. Harper come up here if they don't want to say anything.
Bring them around. Come on around. The Senator. Maurice, George Hurd.
So proud of you.
Come around.
So proud of you.
Come around. Council, and we got Franklin, the city manager. Franklin. Maurice, I have to tell John, you're still taking care of business, man. Run the ball. Do it? All right. Yes, sir. All right. All right. Will we read it? Okay. This certificate is presented to all three of them. I, Johnny Ford, as mayor of the city of Tuskegee, congratulations from the city of Tuskegee City Council and the citizens of the city of Tuskegee. To Maurice Hurd, head coach, Booker T. Washington, South All-Star assistant coach. This 11th day of August 2015 in the city of Tuskegee, Alabama. And Mr. Jamarius Miles, BTW football, South All-Star football, you, and Maurice, Coach Hurd. And the other one is for Jason had to leave. Now he's already, he's already, so coach, you can hold it. All right, so let's all get it. Got it? All right, there we go. Do you got it? Okay. Okay, smile. Maurice, you gotta say something. Give him a hand. Maurice Hurd.
Thank you to Mr. Mayor and Council. We're so appreciative, and I'll say we because we're talking about the Booker T. Washington family. There were 16 coaches selected, and I was fortunate enough to be one of those 16 in the state of Alabama. I was able to get 2 players from Macon County to play on that team. And one thing that I came back here to do was to expose our young men to opportunities. And with my program, this is what I want you guys to know. First and foremost, they have to be good students. They have to go to class. They have to get that opportunity. Secondly, they have to be good citizens. They have to be the type of people who we can trust when we look at them and when we don't look at them. And thirdly, they have to be the type of people who work hard, because we know that nothing beats that work ethic. But I'm just so appreciative to the city of Tuskegee who has supported me my whole life. From Zion Hill, a lot of people don't remember Zion. Zion Hill, to Tuskegee Institute High School, to Tuskegee University, to now as the head coach at Booker T. Washington. And one thing that we're trying to do is to build young men so that they're better husbands, everything. So we're going to make sure that we continue to work very hard to do what we need to do to make sure that these young men and young women that we coach are the type of citizens that we want to produce. Lastly, we always need your support. We'll open up next Thursday against Wilcox Central at 7 for our jamboree. The following week, we got Jeff Davis at home for our first official game. Please, I see so many people that support us. I don't want to start calling names because I might miss some, but please come out and support us and just know that if there's ever anything that we can do for you at Booker T. Washington, feel free to let us know.
Great.
Thank you all.
First, I would like to give God for giving me the strength to play any type of sport. Then I would like to thank Coach for giving me a try. And it was a blessing again, coached by all the wonderful coaches and players that I met. My experience was nice when I was in high school. Thank you.
Y'all not gonna get Tuskegee?
No, we play live.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that year we played live?
Right. Miles getting good, though. Miles not what they used to be, that's for sure. They built that program up.
Say T-U?
You know.
All right. We love Miles, but.
Right.
Okay, where were we?
I'm headed back to practice.
All right, give him another hand. Okay. All right, exit 38. Okay, all right. Okay, so we, what I wanted to do, council members, there's a letter here from the engineers of ADM indicating, you know, when you come into, now that we've got it zoned, Mr. Chairman of the Planning Commission, we want that intersection to look good and to have a common facade and theme, preferably Tuskegee Airman theme or Tuskegee University theme or whatever, but some kind of consistent. We've got if you look out there now, there's a fence around that machine you see out there. And I met with the ADM the other day, and they gave us a written report indicating that machine, since you're here, Mr. Perry, the Perry's oil, that service station in Texaco that used to be out there, somehow had an oil spill that polluted the soil. And so we got ADM to come in and to correct the situation. And the state has perhaps spent approximately $1 million out there over the last 20 years or so, monitoring and pumping oxygen into the soil, oxidizing the soil. But we want the public to know is that little machine is there for a purpose, to continue to monitor and to make sure that no pollution develops that prevents us from developing that area commercially. And we have it in writing here from our engineers stating that the site, exit 38, that we just zoned today, is ready for commercial development. And I wanted to give a copy of this to the members of the council. And I've also sent it to all of the developers so that they'll know it. And I've asked them to take down that bad looking fence they have out there and put up a new fence that is either a nice chain link fence or one that fits into our theme. And council also, did I send those letters? Yeah, I sent letters to Von Memory, who owns that property where the Perry's oil company used to be. There's a concrete block building out there that looks bad, and we've asked him to either demolish it or give us permission to demolish it. Here again, we can use the right of condemnation to acquire it and to use it for public purpose. Economic development, when you read the document from the League, is eligible for condemnation and it can be considered for a public purpose. And then the other one is that little shed out there where Mrs. Scott had her, and still have a lot of valuable things in there. So we've been in touch with her son as well to please move that facility, because we want Exit 38 to really look good and cleaned up real good. So that's where we are on Exit 38. It's ready for development. Let's go to Head Start building. Yeah, announcements are basically the same.
Actually, we can go with city manager's communications, if you want to jump
Okay,
right
yeah,
in.
okay, we're ready for you. Okay, you can take it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, we spend a considerable amount of time addressing both the council issues and concerns as well as those from the citizens. I mentioned earlier that we spend time in the community looking for areas that need addressment, be it garbage pickup, be it street repair, et cetera, et cetera. We responded to a number of specific issues that the council brought forth over the past 3-4 weeks. And in fact, I just issued a letter to Mr. Simpson covering the work that we're just beginning to do on Irene Street to correct the problems that he pointed out in his letter to the council a couple months ago. We're also addressing telephone calls. We're starting to get some citizen complaints and requests via the website. Thank you, Mr. Flowers. So we're having an opportunity now to address more and more of the citizen needs and complaints. Street maintenance, you have the summary covering June up to, I believe, August 2nd or 3rd. It's in the package, so if you have any specific questions on it, we'll address it. Otherwise, now we come to Head Start building update. At the last council meeting, Councilman Lee, I believe you requested an overview of the drawing, of the plan, of the application for a loan for the new Macon County Head Start building. And we have in our presence this evening, Mrs. Phillips, you come up and join us. Mrs. Phillips obviously is the Head Start director. Mr. Harvey Smith put together the application, the loan application and the numbers. So I'm going to ask the two of them to come forward, if you would. And also Mr. Mr. Potter's back there, the general contractor. So just in case you have questions or comments or whatever, you have all the people here who can answer those questions. You have in your packet a couple of renderings, 3 different renderings of the building. Yes. Council members. And I brought some extra copies here to share with citizens. A couple of different shots. So at this time, Mrs. Phillips, why don't you take over at this point? You kind of give us an overview of the design, development, where we are, and then you can take it wherever you need to go.
Sure. Mayor, council members, Mr. City Manager, clerk, attorney, and citizens. You have before you some renderings of the drawings. I was expecting to see the bigger layout so that I could share. Yes.
Yeah, it's on stage.
Next time, put it up on the screen. We have the screen. Where's Mr. Flowers? Next time, we'll put it up on the screen again.
Okay, the renderings that you have just show an overview of these plans here. I have a short version. As you can tell by the shape of the building, it's sort of in a backwards L shape. You will have right here the entrance to the building. The building will be comprised of 10 classrooms as well as administrative offices and space in the front area of the building. Each classroom will have adjoining restrooms.
Excuse me, can you bring over, I want Councilman Lee, because he's the one that really asked for this. Put it in the middle so they can all see.
Just to the left of the drawing is the entrance. And then you will have also further to the left administrative offices that will house all of the administrative personnel. There will be a secure entrance to the building with a secure lobby and restrooms in the lobby, as well as a break room for all of the staff that will be housed in the building. Just to the extension of the administrative offices will be 10 classrooms with adjoining restrooms. And also, according to the drawings, the classrooms will be able to exit out of the building into the play yard on each side of the building as a safety feature for the children. There will be, sorry. Yes, sir. On the side that Mr. Potter is on toward the end, at the top, will be a resource area for the teaching staff to prepare during their lessons, as well as a storage room and a gathering room for particularly trainings and staff meetings. Next to the gathering room is a small kitchen area. We did not need a full-size kitchen because our meals are catered, and there will be a rear entrance access to the caterers to bring in the meals for the children and thereby serve them going down the hallways. Also in the rear, you should see, of course, janitor's closet for the custodians, and next to that, you'll see W&D for wash and dryer. When you're working with preschoolers, they do soil things, and so we have to have access to clean those items. And there's a mechanical room there in the back as well. But you will, if you're already looking in the back, and you will look at classroom 10, there are going to be 10 classrooms. We will look at 10 and 9 to show you the adjoining restrooms of the classrooms. This will be the layout consistently throughout the building to allow for safety of monitoring children. The only way they would exit their classrooms is if they're leaving for the day. And if they're exiting downward to the playground. There are going to be playgrounds on both sides of the building to allow easy access and security. But that's it in a general layout, general format.
Have any questions? That looks good to me. Okay.
And the building does meet the specification of the Head Start standards. I always share with people that a Head Start building is slightly different from public schools because of the specifications and the sizes of the commodes and the square footage of the classroom. So it does meet all of the Head Start requirements.
I guess one question is the building, I guess, equipped for the possibility of expanding it in case of our numbers really did go up? About how much capacity of the building will we be using initially with the current population of students that we have?
The building will house all of the centers located in the Tuskegee area. We have 5 centers, and it will include 10 classrooms located in the area. We will keep DC Wolf as well as Notice of because they're in the rural areas. And the building does allow for expansion if necessary. It will be housed on 7.5 acres, so there will be room for expansion if necessary to the rear of the building.
Or, I guess even not necessarily expansion, but is the building being built for the current amount of students that we have, or say we had an increase in population. Hopefully, you know, would this building be sufficient for that, or would we have to expand?
That building will be sufficient. The way we are ordering our operations now in process of getting approved early Head Start, it will accommodate that as well.
Have y'all included security for the building?
Yes, ma'am. That's included in all of the drawings. In our discussions with meeting with the city manager, Mr. Potter and Mrs. Smith, we did state, and it was noted that the architects would just need to do one more overview of the building since the last time the drawings were done, I think approximately 4 years ago. Just one more overview to make sure it meets current code. And that should not be costly, just to make sure it meets current code, because it's been a while since those were done.
You want to make sure, you know, no one can just walk in, nobody knows that.
It will be extremely secure.
Now, we've been talking about this for some time, so we're ready to move. The council at its last meeting, or one of the last meetings in recent time, we passed a resolution authorizing the city manager to go ahead and finance director to submit the application to Liberty Bank. I'd like to suggest, Mr. City Manager, just as we had a meeting with Liberty Bank, and even the state may help us a little on this one too. We know that we set up a meeting on this project as well.
Yeah, we need to get those going. I promise we will roll out the resolution and the application tomorrow.
Okay. All right. So the question is, we want to do this in our lifetime for these children. Okay. Like you say, get your babies out of those trailers.
Yes.
Okay. But this would be approximately a $3 million project. What's your cost figure projection again, roughly?
The application included $3.8 million.
Yeah, roughly.
But after the discussions we had last week, it's down to a little bit over $2 million.
Oh, that's better. That's good. That's right. We'll borrow what we can pay back, right? And the way we propose to pay this back is Head Start now receives money from the federal government, and they use that now to pay rent. So we're paying enough rent to build 20 buildings over the years. We've been paying rent so long. And it just makes no sense, as intelligent as we are in Tuskegee, Alabama, for a municipality to be paying rent for a program as important as Head Start. You should have your own building. Okay?
In addition to that, Mr. Mayor and Council, in an effort to reduce the risk to the bank, we're going to be looking at some grants.
Yeah.
USDA specifically.
Right. And that's why I said we may want to, we'll pull the state in on this one too. The state of Alabama has offered to be supportive of us on these projects we're developing. Okay, good work. Give all questions.
I have a comment, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I want to say to Ms. Phillips that the city of Tuskegee owes you gratitude for sticking with this project. You did not let it die, you stuck with it, and you stuck with it until you brought it back to us, and I just want to say thank you for not letting this project die. We appreciate your service and all that you do for our children of Tuskegee and Macon County.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith, for putting the numbers together, and Mr. Potter, thank you for, this is another Potter project.
Thank you, Mr. Potter.
Great, thank everyone. Okay, thank you, Mr. Interim Manager as well. Okay, nice, everyone, I'm wearing my beautiful NBC Leo, what do you call this, Scholar? What's this? What's this called?
That's a skull.
Kente cloth, handmade, because I was presented this at the National League of Cities meeting, NBC Leo meeting, which is the organization that represents the largest Alliance of Black Elected Officials in America for my years of service. And so I said, I'm going to take this home and show it to the people of Tuskegee. So I accept it on behalf of you, the citizens of Tuskegee. Kente Cloth.
Kente Cloth.
Thank you.
And it's a stove. Yeah.
Huh?
It's a stove.
Make sure I'm right. Okay, good. Let's continue where we're back to the city manager.
The financial report. We have two items, Mr. Mayor. Item number one is July payments. This was in your packet. So if you have any questions on payments, et cetera, please let me know. Otherwise, we won't go into detail on them.
Okay.
The other item, and Mr. Smith, this is your night. Last,
I'm
sorry.
Pro Tem had something.
One, I noticed we had a painting. For painting, is this an additional payment? Is that an ongoing contract? Which payment is that for? It's on page 7.
For the painting. That was part of that, remember we were out there at the salute at the airmen, and they said they were collecting some sponsors for it, but I hope that's the last one.
I mean, we made it.
That's the last one.
Which item?
Talking about the payment.
Yes, that's all done. That's done. I just stood out because we made a payment on that same amount earlier, so I just wanted to make sure that we are through that. That is the end. That is the end. The need.
We needed more paintings, I'll paint.
I'll help.
He's a very famous artist, McDowell. As a matter of fact, he is our artist in residence. But in terms of priorities at this time, we talked about it in our budget hearings. I'm sure this portrait will serve well.
All right, the next other thing I wanted to just ask if we could remind all persons that have any existing contracts to bring them forward to the city. There's some questions about contracts that we have, and we're hearing from people that we haven't gotten clear on what outstanding contracts are, payments, so we can get this cleared up. Closing out this year, moving into next year, making sure all pre-existing contracts have been identified and approved by the finance manager, interim city manager, and city council, so that we're clear on what our obligations are. So anyone, I'll ask the city manager to ask anyone who has an understanding that they have a contract, that they might want to come forward so we can confirm any outstanding contracts. It's not too pleasant to come up with a contract later on when we should have been realizing if we had a contract in existence already. So I think that we can make sure that we get that done, that we don't get kind of thrown off guard by this. Thank you. The second item under the financial section is the 2% sales tax collection and usage update requested by a citizen. Yes, sir. One of our prominent citizens, Pastor Bernard, at the last council meeting, and Mr. Smith has put together a summary here. And Mr. Smith, I'm going to ask you if you will come forward and just share with us the breakdown of the 2%, how much is collected, and how it was actually utilized.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
You have
Council.
Do you have a copy?
No, sir. Okay, thank you.
I wanted to make sure, I wanted all the citizens to have this, but in particular, Mr. Reverend Leonard, because he led the effort to speak on behalf of citizens who were gathered here for this 2%. So here's some copies. Happy to see our officials here. Ms. Knight, we're delighted to have you run the stop ending all water system. Let's give her a hand. We're delighted to have you here. This was judge here earlier, I guess you left. Okay. All right. Your Honor, where's Ms. Love? Yes, he is. Move on, Mr. Wells. On to the other water system. So, spit systems, they have a monopoly on the water. Doing a great job.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
if
Go
you don't
ahead.
mind, Mr. Harvey, would you preempt that by just simply
Come on.
giving us an update as to what this is about?
Yeah.
Preempt it, letting the citizens know that number one, you all had asked for additional revenue, and the citizens voted to allow the citizens to have a 1% increase, and we asked them, number one, I asked you, number one,
Use your mic.
go ahead and move it up to 2%, so that number one, we could hire the, 7 police
officers.
recreation, and fix the road. So what they're doing now is giving us an update as to what the tax was used for. That's what many of the citizens asked me to ask the mayor and the councilman. They're doing that now to let us know what the money is being used for, so you'll be aware of what the 2% is. This is what this is all about.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you. The 2% sales tax represents 40% of the 5% sales tax that we do collect for the city of Tuskegee. That's 2% sales tax from October 2014 to July 31, 2015, represents $714,744. Our gross revenue collections totally came to $7,705,160 for the year. Therefore, the 2% occupational tax represents approximately 9.276% of the total revenues collected. So we, we allocated that 9.26% to the police department, fire department, public works, fleet services, and general operations. In those categories, the police department had $245,364, which is represented by personnel cost of $139,735. New police vehicles, the monthly payment on those vehicles, total approved from October to July, $32,009. Additional equipment for those police vehicles, $61,284. And some of the other major expenditures in the police department was materials and supplies, vehicle parts and tires, training and continuing education for the new cadets, housing of prisoners, gas and oil for the police cars, uniforms for the officers, and repairs to the vehicles. In the fire department, an allocation of $124,936, and $90,000 of that was dedicated to personnel, and $29,000 to equipment purchases. And other major materials and supplies, vehicle parts and tires, training and continuing education, gas and oil, uniforms, vehicle repairs. In the public works department, $189,457 was allocated. Personnel costs of $65,377, and training and continuing education there of $233. The new garbage truck, which had a monthly payment of $3,064, came to $30,642 for the year. And equipment purchases, street signs, vehicle parts and tires, and there was some tree trimming and line clearing involved. Street patching and paving, the landfill, gas and oil for the trucks, uniforms and repairs on the vehicles.
Last one,
And fleet services, $28,157. And general operations, general operating cost was $2,272,964. So we allocated $210,840 of that. So the total usage allocated to the 2-cent sales tax came to $794, $754. Okay. Any questions?
Okay, any questions? Reverend Nod, or any
question from any of the
questions?
citizens about how that 2 cents is different? You understand that? Okay. I thank you so very much, Mr. Mayor, and also Mr. Harvey for presenting this to us, because this is what the citizens asked for. They wanted accountability as to what they were paying 2 cents out of a dollar for on sales tax. And one of the other things we would just like to have, if you don't mind, I think they want, is a projection of what we're going to use it for coming up. For the coming year, because some of the things that you have on here will not have to be repurchased. They're already purchased. And we would just like to know if we're going to continue.
Right.
If not, then we'll go back to the 1 cent or go back to no cent. Or we're going to continue. All right. I'll figure that. But we would like to have a projection. Any questions from any of you all? Any questions? We'd like to have a projection. Well, one other thing, what is the fleet service?
Fleet service.
That's the city shop.
Oh, city shop, okay.
Repairing the vehicle.
Okay, yes, okay. We'd like to have a projection as to for 15 and 16, if you don't mind. Thank you so very, very much.
No, thank you, and thank the citizens.
All right.
Yes.
We're having some copies made, so we'll have copies available for everyone before you leave.
Okay.
And what was the total amount that was from that 2% last year? 7,000?
714,744.
How much?
714.
Yeah, I see it, 714, 74.
1,744.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, because we've been asking about this for some time. And as you said, if we're going to do budget year, we'll be asking to line item some areas.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to keep a lot of it available, but there's some specific line items we'd like to get to, as has been mentioned by some persons, street paving and a few other things. And we're going to try to see if we can get to it. We got beyond some of the others. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
Okay, outstanding. All right, now let's go to E, Mr. Manager.
Well, closing of Alexander Street, you have the recommendation for planning. Yes, the move here, we would ask you to receive the recommendation for planning.
Shall we entertain a motion?
You also could either do it at this point or at your next meeting, adopt a resolution, and that resolution will, of course, describe the part that you're vacating, and also say that it's in the public interest for you to take this action. After that happens, and after it's executed, we'll file that, or the city manager will file the resolution in probate court, and then the vacation is complete.
Okay.
So you can go ahead and adopt the resolution now. We'll go ahead and prepare it. And
Pending it being developed by the attorney, will bring it back to us and we can ratify it.
well,
Yeah, give us your recommendation.
the recommendation is go ahead and adopt it tonight.
Okay, good. I like that better.
And
Shall we
we'll
entertain a
have it for
motion?
you this week.
Mayor, I move that we receive the closing and the resolution development of the closing on the section on Alexander Street and so identified.
Shall we entertain a second? Moved and properly second by Councilman Lee. Questions, comments, those in favor of the motion, please give the sign of aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. So be it. Thank you so very much. Next item.
Next item is the rezoning of the property at exit 38. We have a recommendation from planning that the properties identified at exit 38 be rezoned from A0 to B3. That was their recommendation, so.
Shall we entertain a motion to that effect?
Right, and to adopt the ordinance. The ordinance has been prepared, so it's appropriate for you to go ahead and adopt the ordinance at this time. And of course, it'll have to be published, the ordinance itself.
Right. Rezoning.
Yes.
Exit 30. Shall we entertain a motion? Moved by Whitehead. Second by Pro Tem. Questions, comments, those in favor of the motion, give the sign of aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. So be it. Done. Next item.
The tobacco tax ordinance hearing, this was for informational purposes only. You did receive the information, and you did ask to be put put it on the agenda for next week, so we will, and we'll come back with a recommendation.
And include that suggestion he had. Yes. Okay, good. Parks and Recreation, we've already done that. Announcements? Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
For Parks and Recreation, honorable council members, please consider this as a request for your approval of a letter of memorandum of understanding for the Alabama Extension Alpro Health Group of Macon County. Mr. Will Golden is the chairman. They have received a 3-year grant for the improvement of walking trails, and they have selected Albert Park to be their first trail to improve. Albert Park was selected for their first site in phase 1 of the improvement of Albert Park. So they need a memorandum of understanding. The chairman of the county council was there today. They sent their person out, the engineer out, to look at what all needs to be done. This will be of no cost to the city. It's a grant. So they will send us their information, and I've asked that we send them a memorandum of understanding that will be no cost to the city.
Moved by the Pro Tem. Second by Councilman Lee. Questions, comments? All in favor of the MOU, give the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Good work, Council Lady Moon. Yes, sir.
Just want to request before we leave the city manager report that pass it on to him. Attention be given to our head, Mr. Melvin Adams, of 1908 Lee Street to that site. Secondly, prioritizing Ms. Johnson at 2802 Azalea Street, which we've been talking about for 3 years, taking down that property in Greenport. Helen Howard on Scott and Logan Streets has requested that hers be taken down, burned, or whatever. Katie Campbell and Howard Road and Logan Streets, and Patsy Jenkins and Marble Subdivision. I'll pass it on to the city manager. Just want to notate, let the citizens know we're trying to see how we can get to those sites they have asked several times. I know that Mr. Adams has been priority for some time, and so is Ms. Johnson, going back almost 30 years. 28 was a Mr. Adams, 19.
Got it?
I got some of them that he's going to give me.
We'll get it to you.
And I'm nodding at Mr. Bowen, so we're all on the same page.
Mr. City Manager, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I'd like to add to that list, we have it, but it's 916 Bibb Street, 914 Bibb Street, and 703 Bibb Street. All those are up for abatement, and they've been on the list for several years.
I have one on Gautier Street. I have to get you the exact address. 7 on Gautier Street.
I would like to follow up, Ms. Adams, your street, that take care of it, please. I know it's already on the list, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah, you know, I can.
Okay.
His concern is the gas, turn off once the gas has been deactivated or retired or whatever, then that's the issue.
Did you have something
And
else?
one quick
Okay.
comment, Mr. Mayor, to the council. Here again, when we look at the budget, please let us consider a great part of the budget going to abatement and servicing. Let's just put that kind of in the front, because these abatements have been on the list for years.
Okay. All right. So we'll go down to, go ahead, Mr.
Well, I
Mayor.
think we're at the announcement here. And let's see, there she is. Sarah, would you come up and do us the honor of covering the job fair and all the related activity there?
Good evening to Mayor, council members, interim city manager, city clerk, and our city attorney. Good evening today, everyone. Just another reminder about our second annual All Macon County Job Fair. It's going to be scheduled for Wednesday, September 2nd, 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. We've had a tremendous turnout as far as our vendors and wanting to reserve space. We have so far the Opelika Auburn News. We have Gambro, Oning, Mando, Donaldson, EAMC, we have Ball Healthcare Center Services, and GE Aviation, amongst 25 other vendors that have already turned in their vendor forms to us. So we're very excited about that. We want all of the citizens of Macon County and Tuskegee to come out on Wednesday, September the 2nd, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. to participate in the job fair. Come prepared to be hired. None of these vendors have signed up because they just want to come and hang out with us. They've signed up because they have job openings, and we want to provide that opportunity for you all to be hired. Also, on August 29th, we're going to have a boot camp, basic training boot camp. It's going to be downtown Tuskegee, Macon County Commission Annex, located in Tuskegee Square next to PNC Bank. We hope to have you all come out there. It's an opportunity to learn how to be hired or to pick up some additional tips if you've been out of the workforce for a while, to learn what the vendors and the job vendors are looking for as far as great candidates. Come prepared to be hired. Come with nice iron shirts and pants and slacks and dress shoes and skirts and blouses and jackets. Come and present yourself as a professional so you can be hired. They're looking for professional people, and the city of Tuskegee and Macon County are full of those individuals. We want you to come out again for the Job Fair Boot Camp, August 29th. That's on a Saturday in the square. It's from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We're taking donations from the public as well here in our lobby of gently used clothing that individuals can use to come out for the job fair. Also, if you show up at the Job Fair Boot Camp on the 29th, you can go through all those clothing and first come, first serve, and you can have a brand new outfit to wear for the job fair on September 2nd. So look forward to having you all out there. Those of you that are here that are gainfully employed, we're happy about that, but spread the word to everybody else. Thank y'all so much.
Just a couple more announcements. Ms. Norris mentioned that the boot camp is going to be the same time as the Macon County, All Macon County Day Festival. Just want to remind everybody that that festival is the 28th and 29th, so we look forward to everybody participating in that. One other announcement, a follow-up on our Eagle Scout, Boy Scout program that we talked about a few weeks ago. On Thursday, August 20th at 6:30 in this very room, we will have a free showing of the movie Muddy Lions. And this is the movie that was made primarily to encourage scouting and to just show the benefits of scouting. I understand it's a very good movie. I have not seen it, but I've heard some good reviews on it. So we're encouraging everybody to come out. We will be promoting it in the schools and in the community. We're going to get an article in the paper. Ms. Carlisle has already agreed to do an article for us. So we will be publicizing it. You'll be seeing it in the paper between now, well, that will be this week. I hope she got it before she went to the hospital. But anyway, we will be going to the schools. Mr. Newton will be going to the schools, and we will be promoting it. So be sure and take advantage of this movie. They will have other things here to talk about. They're recruiting for the scouting program in Tuskegee. They want to rebuild that program. So this is an opportunity to help our youth, our young people, get on the right path. So I encourage all of you who have kids, I encourage you to bring them out, and I encourage you to come out too. How many times you get a free movie? Okay, thank you very much.
The city manager, the Explorer Post, have you all had a chance to have a meeting on that?
Well, that program that Jeff Lewis is coordinating,
right.
The Eagle program, we met here and we have all the specifics. We've identified the schools, the age groups, et cetera, and the plan that we're about to develop. So to answer your question, yes.
Yeah, for the benefit of the community, the council did vote to sponsor a scouting explorer, a law enforcement explorer unit, post it's called. And we are hopeful that young men will participate in the exploring program, focus on law enforcement, because many of them may go into that career. So hopefully by that time you may be able to have a report. That would be good if you did.
Yeah, I'll have Captain Lewis also since he's on the point guard.
Okay. All right. Okay. Proceed. You finished all of yours?
Yes,
okay. The attorney is out. Ordinances and resolutions Go ahead, you. The resolutions, all right. We had a number of resolutions. One in memory of Mr. Earl Jones. Shall entertain a motion as adopted, moved by the pro tem.
Second.
Second by Moon. Questions, comments, those in favor of the motion give the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So be it. Mr. Earl Jones is remembered, former city employee. Mrs. Alma Johnson, who, E.G. Dixon, a family member, shall entertain a motion. Moved by the pro tem. Second by Mr. Lee. Councilmember Lee. Questions, comments, those in favor of the motion give the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So be it. The motion is carried. Julie, you could just help me find out tomorrow when the funeral is for Miss Alma Johnson in Montgomery Park. The next one is, who's the name? Easter McBride. Shall entertain a motion. Moved by Whitehead, second by Pro Tem. Questions, comments? Being none, those in favor of the motion, please give the sign of aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. So be it. The resolution is adopted. Ellen Richmond, the chair will entertain a motion. Moved by Whitehead, second by Lee. Questions, comments, Mrs. Lee, Dr. Richmond's wife. All in favor of the motion, give the sign of aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. So be it. Motion is carried. Reverend, what's his first name?
Reverend Lawson.
Palmer.
Oh, okay, yes. Shall entertain a motion to that effect. Moved by Councilman Lee.
Second.
Second by Council Lady Moon. Questions, comments? Being none, those in favor of the motion, please give the sign of aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. So be it. The motion is carried. Yes, ma'am. Hobson City is celebrating its Founders Day, and we want to support that in the form of a resolution that's going to take place in Hobson City. Chair will entertain a motion to that effect. Moved by Councilman Lee, second by Council Lady Whitehead. Questions, comments? All in favor of the motion, give the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So be it. Ms. Robinson, chairperson of our Historic Commission, you want to come and say a word about the Founder Day in Hobson City, and we're urging citizens who may know youngsters who need a bicycle, who are interested in bicycles, to let us know. So could you please? Any other resolutions? That concludes our resolution.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, Council. Hobson City is, of course, the oldest incorporated black town in Alabama. It's part of our historic Black Towns and Settlements Alliance. And so we're trying to, all of the cities that are joined into the historic Black Towns and Settlements, trying to support them. Now they're having a program with a bicycling company, an organization that is that is already formalized, and they do long bicycle treks throughout the country. But they're participating in this Hobson City, and so we're inviting students from the different towns to participate. Each town is asked to bring a few students to Hobson City. 10. And if they come, the city will be awarded 10 bicycles, real bicycles. The commitment is that the town will commit to a bicycle club and continue the program, but that's what is ongoing. And that happens this weekend, Saturday, 14th, 15th.
And we're urging programs like walking, you mentioned a walking trail earlier, and biking, that kind of thing. You know, it's really, biking is becoming real. I was in the airport in, where was I this morning? I guess Birmingham first and then Atlanta because of the weather. But the policemen riding bicycles, I mean, you know, it's...
But this program is especially for the young people. Yes. This is a youth program for the bikes this time.
So, Mr. Amanda, I'll get with you to see if we've got... Drew, do we have a van that will make it to Hobson City and back? Probably not. For 10...
Excuse my ignorance on this question, but how far is Hobson City? It's where? Where did you say?
Aniston.
Oh, near Aniston. With a few minor repairs to our current vehicle, we should be able to.
Yeah, the way in.
So I wasn't even gonna go through that issue right now. That was the question he asked me.
So I'll get with you and
We'll talk tomorrow.
we'll let, I said, Mr. City Manager, would you please?
We'll talk.
Okay, good. Because these are brand new, nice.
Yes, we don't know somebody that needs them. I know there's some
We got a
kids.
kid.
I'm sure there's plenty of them.
Okay.
I can find them.
You got,
I was
probably we
football,
got some.
I don't know if we're using the vans, but I know they have weigh-ins.
Well, no, actually what we need is just a van to take them up there.
Okay.
And then they're gonna ship in the bikes. They only have bikes for them to ride up there, they go through the training.
Right.
But,
It's all got Wisconsin.
yeah, they're gonna ship the bikes. Huh? Okay. Rent a
We
van.
gotta just find the kids, that's the main, I mean, it shouldn't be too hard. We want a free bike, but
How many we have? We have 4. We got 4 already.
we need 6 kids in these bikes. All right.
All right. Okay. So we'll find that. Now, Mr. Attorney. Oh, yes, Council Lady Whitehead. Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I attended Maricopa Subdivision Neighborhood Community Meeting, and they have some concerns for their community. They're doing a great job in Maricopa Subdivision. They want to get the large trucks from traveling on Chapel James Highway. I'm going to pass these to you, City Manager. They want a dead-end sign at the end of Brothers Drive. They want trash picked up on the upper end of Auburn Street. They want to remove the ties from Louis Park on Auburn Street. And they have 2 other items on calendars that you had if I could you and all that. I'm going to pass this on to you. They have a subdivision. I'm really concerned about the community. They're doing a good job keeping it up, keeping it clean, and they got a covenant that they passed to us too, that people that move in there or build a house, they got to go by the covenant. And I think all these communities should have certain criteria for building a house, for people moving in and all this type of thing. We need to have that. Very important.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Echo that on behalf of Councilwoman Whitehead, because like she said, Maricopa Subdivision is doing an outstanding job. We were number 1 over in Green Fork, and our neighborhood watch kind of went slack over there. So we got to catch up. We want to encourage everybody else to catch up with what Maricopa Subdivision is doing. They're doing an outstanding job. You're exactly right, Ms. Whitehead. Not only do they step up their neighborhood watch, but they're carrying out activities within the community. So it's very encouraging. So maybe we need a little friendly competition. We can't be slack about it.
That's a good point. And they're serious about that covenant. We all have a copy of it. And I did get there later to the vice chair's house after everyone else had gone, but they're going to set up another meeting very soon. So, but they really are concerned about trucks coming through their neighborhood. These trucks ought to be on the state highway. I heard people keep talking about traffic coming through. You mentioned traffic coming through. Well, quite frankly, I'm for traffic coming through. Matter of fact, I want traffic to come through 24/7 to downtown Tuskegee because it's dead as a doornail. And we want this town, we want people to come through it. We want them to stop and shop when they can. But we met with the highway department and we asked them to give us an alternate route for these trucks to try to get them out of the Maricopa subdivision. And they complained to us by saying that, well, if they go by Wire Road, that's X number of miles out of the way, gasoline, etc., etc. Yeah, 8 miles they talked about out of the way. So this is an issue that we are going to continue to address and, of course, deal with in the future.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I would encourage us and the city manager to follow up on it, because I actually drove those two. And it's only about a total of 8 miles from the Y Road exit coming up through the National Forest back down 29. If you take Y Road and then come down the highway, you're going 4 miles. And you got to come all the way back up to Chapel James and then come down to the city. So you're only doing about 6 miles. So it's only about 2 more miles. Consider other cities like Albany, where they took traffic, you take traffic all the way around the outside of Albany now. It's nothing but to put 2 more miles in and make it safer in our neighborhoods. So I think we have a real strong case that we can make for them just adding 2 more miles to make it safer and quieter.
And the bottom line, though, is we want to try to get those trucks out of the neighborhoods because some child, I remember one of the, talking to one of the community leaders in they said they don't want a child to be hit by those trucks coming through there. School buses come through there, stop, and here you got the big trucks. So whatever route we eventually come up with, the idea is to try to get them out of the neighborhood, put them on an alternate truck route on the state highways. Okay, all right, enough said. Mr. Terry, what do you have?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, you've heard from me quite a bit already this evening. We have, on a regular basis, consulted and advised the interim city manager and other department heads as requested, and continue to monitor the non-litigated matters. We're in touch with the insurance company on a regular basis, and we continue to work on the litigated matters on behalf of the city. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
You agree with the city manager on all the litigations?
Right.
Well, do we need an executive session then?
Yes.
See how we do?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Chair then will entertain a motion that we go into executive session.
So moved.
Moved by Pro Tem, second by Whitehead. Questions, comments, all in favor of the motion, give a sign of aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Great, got it.